History remembers many kings, many warriors, but only a few names echo through the centuries as legends. And among them, one stands above all. A young prince who changed the fate of 3 continents, a warrior who never lost a single battle, a leader whose ambition knew no limits. This is the story of Alexander the Great. Let us travel back more than 2,300 years to witness the rise of the greatest conqueror the world has ever seen. Alexander was born in 356 BCE in the ancient kingdom of Macedon, northern Greece today. His father, King Philip II, was a brilliant strategist, a man who transformed Macedon's weak army into one of the most powerful forces in the ancient world. His mother, Queen Olympias, strong, spiritual, deeply influential, told Alexander from childhood, "You are destined for greatness." Legends say that on the night he was born, the temple of Artemis, one of the 7 wonders of the world, burned to the ground, and the people whispered, "A force has arrived that will burn the world." At age 13, Alexander received a teacher. Not just any teacher, but Aristotle, the greatest philosopher of the ancient world. Aristotle taught him ethics, logic, politics, biology, medicine, and, most importantly, the philosophy of leadership. Alexander was trained not just to fight wars, but to understand the minds of men. At 18, he fought his first major battle, the Battle of Chaeronea, where he led the elite companion cavalry and crushed the enemy's sacred band. Philip turned to his son and said, "My boy, seek a kingdom worthy of yourself. Macedon is too small for you." Alexander never forgot those words. In 336 BCE, tragedy struck. King Philip II was assassinated during a ceremony. Panic spread. Enemies of Macedon rose instantly, believing the kingdom would fall under a 20-year-old boy. But Alexander acted faster than all of them. He executed the conspirators, secured loyalty from the army, and was crowned King Alexander III. Greece, however, rebelled. Athens, Thebes, and others believed they could break free. They were wrong. Alexander marched with lightning speed. He destroyed Thebes completely, a message to the world: challenge me and face extinction. Now, with Greece united behind him, Alexander turned to his father's unfinished dream: the conquest of the Persian Empire, the largest empire the world had ever known. In the spring of 334 BCE, Alexander crossed the Hellespont into Asia Minor with around 40,000 men. Before stepping onto the shore, he threw a spear into the land and said, "I accept Asia as a gift from the gods." His dream had begun. Battle of Granicus. The Persian satraps tried to kill him at the river Granicus. Alexander personally led the charge, spears clashing, hooves pounding, and nearly died, saved only by his loyal general Clitus. But the result was clear. Asia Minor fell to Alexander. Battle of Issus. A year later, King Darius III himself appeared, leading an enormous army. The armies met at Issus. Outnumbered, outmatched, Alexander used brilliant tactics and charged directly at Darius. The Persian king panicked and fled. His wife, mother, and daughters fell into Alexander's hands, but Alexander treated them with royal respect. This was his style: cruel to enemies, noble to royalty. After Issus, Alexander marched to Egypt. The Egyptians, tired of Persian rule, welcomed him as a liberator. Here, he founded the great city of Alexandria, which would later become a center of knowledge, culture, and science. He traveled deep into the desert to the oracle of Siwa. The priests greeted him as son of Amun, a divine title. When he returned, he said nothing, but his army believed their leader was not just a king, but a chosen one. Battle of Gaugamela, 331 BCE. The final showdown between Alexander and Darius. The battlefield, Gaugamela. Darius brought everything: hundreds of thousands of soldiers, war elephants, scythed chariots, an army so large it shook the earth. Alexander studied every movement and planned a strategy so perfect that modern military academies still teach it. He tore through the Persian lines, charged toward Darius, and once again, the great king fled. The Persian Empire, built over centuries, collapsed in a single day. Alexander was now the ruler of the largest empire the world had seen at that time. But Alexander was not finished. He moved east, through Babylon, Persia, Bactria, Sogdia, regions that are today Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, and Central Asia. In these lands, he married Roxana, a local princess. His goal was not only to conquer, but to unite the world under one culture. He founded new cities, introduced Greek education, built roads, and set up governments. Every step he took reshaped history. After crossing the Hindu Kush Mountains, Alexander entered the Indian subcontinent. Battle with King Porus. At the Hydaspes River, he faced one of the greatest warriors of the East, King Porus. Porus brought war elephants, tall soldiers, and unmatched courage. The battle was brutal. The river ran red, but Alexander's strategy prevailed. After defeating Porus, Alexander asked, "How should I treat you?" Porus replied, "Treat me as a king would treat a king." Impressed, Alexander returned his kingdom and even granted him more territory. This showed the world Alexander could conquer with strength, but rule with respect. By now, Alexander had marched more than 11 years across deserts, mountains, and jungles. His soldiers were exhausted, longing for home. When Alexander attempted to push further east toward the Ganges River, his army refused. With a heavy heart, he agreed to return. Alexander returned to Babylon, planning new conquests: Arabia, Carthage, even Rome. But fate had other plans. In June 323 BCE, after a banquet, he fell seriously ill. For days he lay in fever, unable to speak. When asked to whom he left his vast empire, he whispered, "To the strongest." At just 32 years old, the greatest general in history died. Alexander the Great ruled for 12 years, but his influence lasted more than 2,000 years. He never lost a battle. He founded over 20 cities. He spread Greek culture across 3 continents. He connected East and West long before globalization existed. Rome admired him. Napoleon worshipped him. Military schools still teach his tactics. He was more than a conqueror. He was a phenomenon, a force of nature, a man whose dreams were bigger than the world itself. And that is why, even after 2 millennia, the world still remembers his name: Alexander the Great.